Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of the MTG Arena Run. Last time we took a look at the Saproling Swarm deck. We actually managed to do a pretty good run. I might have mentioned it a bit. You might have heard it or you might have missed it, but that was the second time I was running through. I did the run because the first run there was a error in capturing the video. Actually, it was more of an error on my part. But in either case, we are going to move to an extra deck. It's not gonna feature the Saprolings as much, but it's gonna feature our big MVP, Poison Tip Archer. And to illustrate why I believe that Poison Tip Archer is the main MVP, I'm gonna run one of the clips from the previous run. Actually, it's the very first match of that run. It's against a white-black life gain deck. Our opponent didn't managed to get their life gain engine running as smoothly as he could, but we were able to raise the life gain somewhat courtesy of, well, in part courtesy of Poison Tip Archer, even though he managed to get a ton of 1/1 lifelink dudes on the board. I think he had an Ajani's Welcome or two. I think he had an Ajani's Welcome on board as well. He did not get his payoffs. That was the only thing that kept hampering him. I managed to answer his Ajani's Pride Mate. I think I answered his Resplendent Angel as well, or did he just not have it? I might be mixing it up with another game, but either case, that is the matchup I'm going to show you, and it's going to show you the magic of having Poison Tip Archer. So I'm going to run the deck based around that, but I'm going to add a little extra spice. That one is courtesy of one of the guys I had a matchup with in the previous deck. Showed me the light, showed me a journey into eternity, showed me what broken things we could possibly do with it. So without further ado, we're going to jump to we're gonna get the B roll rolling, and we're going to show the matchup. Then after that, we're gonna go jump straight to deck building. So hope to see you again in the flip side. So stand by. So I'm just gonna take a look. Yeah, it blocks out a bit of the first card on the left side. I could always mulligan every time, but nah. As it is, this hand's a keeper. 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Let's lead out with the swamp. So it's actually, oh dear, we have a War of Attrition in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. That said, I'm definitely gonna run this Saproling migration now. Let's see. Turn to Ajani's Pride Mate. Yep, on cue. Now, Poison Tip Archer will negate the Pride Mate, but we do need to have better answers than this. We also need to have at least one more land, or else we're in real trouble. Oh, if our opponent drops another creature, this one's guaranteed to be a 3/3. Okay, it's a good thing he didn't drop one that gives life as it is, so now it comes to question, do I trade? Well, will our opponent give us the opportunity? Nope, he did not. So we're going to... We're probably never going to get the opportunity to trade, so I'm just gonna attack with the Deathbloom Talon. Let's see if he offers it up. He didn't bite, and we now notice that one issue that we have is we need to hit 4 mana relatively quite consistently. So let's see. I'm gonna let our opponent know we're thinking. I could Fungal Infection the Leonin Vanguard now. If this hits 4 mana anyway, we're not going to be able to... I'm just gonna end the turn here. I could respond to by just removing it outright. Let's see what our opponent does. Sign of Urza. Let's see. Beginning of combat on your turn. So I'm gonna do it now before I miss it. get rid of that common creature at least. Now I have to worry about Karn as well. He can have the Forsaken Sanctuary. He's already... it will if this is a source of black mana, at least it delays it an additional turn. If he swings, I will trade all three. Okay, we hit our map. So I have two options here at least. One, I can play the Poison Tip Archer now. Or I can play Rite of Bells and Lock. Now, white does have some sort of removal, but at this point, I might need to start going overhead. I'm gonna play the Rite of... thinking. So, we're kind of overloaded on options in the 4 slot. I'm gonna play the Rite of Bells and Lock now. Only because I don't get to play with it that often. I'm happy to trade with either one of these creatures. Well, that's okay too. And nice thing about this color combination is kind of the lack of trample, so we might be able to... Now is a good time to drop the flyer. Thankfully, Johnny's Pridemate's still stuck at 3. I think he's digging for a black source that comes in untapped. He didn't get it. So
I'll make use of that.
he can... I'm trying to think what could there be that's triple black. He's got the triple white already, so I'm just gonna keep giving him more white. He kind of whiffed on Karn so far. 4 lands in a row. He's not willing to commit his creatures that much. Okay, so I can play Tendershoot Dryad now. He won't be able... Well, Deadweight will take a while, so I can at least smash with these guys. Then I can do the Poison Tip Archer next turn. You know what? I'm gonna... Yeah, it's not often I get to do this now. Poison Tip Archer is great synergy, but at this point we kind of need the power. Synergy can kind of wait. So I'm gonna smash... I'm gonna smash 2 in here, and I'm gonna send the 2 right at his face. He could just sack Karn at this point. That said, there are things I'm concerned with. Cleansing Nova will be a big disaster for us. We just committed a ton of creatures. That said, we will be able to buy time with Spore Swarm. Okay. And I'm actually concerned that he's willing to trade now. He probably drew the Cleansing Nova. So maybe committing Tendershoot Dryad's a mistake. We'll see. I personally would run Cleansing Nova in this deck. The white-black deck. Settle the Wreckage is also... Okay, let's see. Settle the Wreckage Man is also scary. At least these are tokens. We might also see our opponent... He gains 1 life. He put... Okay, so nuked it. I think he's gonna gain another... Yeah. Back-to-back Nightmare's Thirst. Nice. So now I'm definitely incentivized to play Poison Tip Archer. Am I incentivized to take 5 No, I'll be taking... Yeah. I'll be taking 2 damage. Yeah, let's buy some time. I kind of... This deck's basically screaming for Morbid. So I'm gonna play my first Poison Tip Archer. No attacks. Interestingly enough, if, let's say, the board wipe hits, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12 damage off the bat. Luminous Bonds on the demon. That's okay. Mentor of the Meek. Now I want to play the second Poison Tip Archer. Guys, be reminded. Poison Tip Archer has reach. Okay, so yeah, the reach animation could be better. So right now we are. So right now our demon is just basically a system of removal. So no attacks just yet. I'm just gonna. Our opponent should have. Well, he will have tons of card draw, just not yet. Nice thing is I can throw a ton of creatures away at this point. Fall Orchard. Pass the turn. This is gonna be a very slow tick. So Epicure of Blood whenever he gains life. He does have the Leonin War Leader. He can attack with it right then and there. Let's see. He might attack with it just to start getting life gain triggers. I don't have to play Spore Swarm yet. Alright, let's pass the turn. He's playing more creatures, but he's slightly scared to commit. He's kind of waiting for me to tick down my creatures one by one. So let's play Talid Omnivore. Forest. Pass the turn. Now this one should already signal to our opponent that we got something that instant speed at 4 mana. Our opponent might finally decide to attack now. Yep, he's going to attack. He's going to attack with both. He's going to generate 8 tokens. We're going to generate some tokens of our own. He's also going to generate a ton of draw triggers. So he did refill his hand in time. We never got to refill, but that said, all I have to do is throw... He does realize all I have to do is just throw 5 creatures under the bus and it's over. He has to answer these Poison Tip Archers first. In fact, just to be safe, I might throw 9 creatures under the bus. He might... that depends. Right now, the only instance... Well, there are tons of instant speed removal in black, so that's a moot point. So, if he... But he's thinking this through right now. So, if I were in his position, I'd be looking for at least 2 removal spells that cost 2 mana. So, if he draws 2 more cards here, that pretty much signals to me that he only has 1 removal spell. I'll have to throw 9 creatures under the bus. Actually, just enough to trade and have 9 creatures die. That's pretty much the math. It's also possible our opponent just realized that attacking might have been a mistake, but it's kind of hard to... I don't think there's a way out of it. Now, the only real out here would have been settle the wreckage, but he knows my position. I wasn't gonna attack at all. In fact, him casting Luminous Bonds on my on the 6/6 demon pretty much guarantees I was never going to attack at all. So I have no idea what happened. If there's a reason why I'm very willing to censor our opponent's names, that's one reason. Because at the very least, it's a little bit less judgment if you don't know who it is. at least the avatars we're playing with are not unique enough that we will know what's going, that we can identify a person directly. In fact, I think the way, so he just passed on those triggers, and he's going to pass on even more triggers. So I'm gonna set up the blocks. It's also possible he just went AFK, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, he does gain life off this, so I have to trade it with this one anyway. I could just eat one of these. So I will block. Actually, let's not throw that away needlessly. Okay. So it's also possible he has a sweeper attack. You know what? Let's find out. Because even with the sweeper, I will get the life. So I guess that's how blocks work. I did not get the chance to respond. Oh yeah, I was out of mana. I never had the chance to respond. So time to watch the trigger stack. My triggers come first, so he doesn't get to see. Yeah, I think I have no idea what happened to our opponent, but that's much better. So so I already had the mana base set up already. I've set it to 50-50 for the time being. But now we're going to take a look at some of the enablers that we're going to run. So let's start off with Stitcher's Apprentice. No, that's it. Stitcher's Supplier. I'm gonna just put one copy in for now. I don't know how many are going to make the cut. But the idea is that we want to start using our graveyard as an additional resource that we can work through. Actually, let's put our marquee card at the same time. So Journey to Eternity. There you go. So this one we're gonna start with about 3 copies. I've seen someone have a deck list of this with 4 copies. 4 might be a bit too much. Now that I think of it, this is a good deck where you can tweak the mana base. You can splash in Muldrota. This will also fit that deck. Some changes would have to be made to accommodate the mana base. A bunch of enchantments would fit in here as well. But that said, let's start off first with a possible Stitcher's Apprentice. We're also gonna add the Glow Spore Shaman. 2 to cast 3/1. Also does the same thing as Stitcher's Supplier, but allows us to get some lands if we need it. This one we're gonna have 4 copies of. Now from this point on, we're going to take a look at the cards of Guilds of Ravnica. I believe that is the set that is pretty much I'm getting this one to work. So definitely Assassin's Trophy. We really need removal. I'm gonna set at 3 copies for now. The split cards will probably go in the sideboard. We're gonna need some creatures that can act as our removal. So I'm gonna add Ravenous Chupacabra in later. But another thing I want to do is look at the 1, 2, and 3 mana slots. There is a reason for that. So let's see. Let's look for creatures with good enters the battlefield triggers. So Burglary Rat is a decent one. Let's just leave it there for now. Charnel Troll. This one's just big. It eats through our graveyard. But then again, it's a pretty good creature in its own right. We'll leave that there, something to think of. Circuitous Root. Creeping Chill. I'm gonna save this more for the Surveil deck. We're not exactly running Surveil. We could, but not quite right now. So District Guide. This one allows us to get dig for lands. We could just run Elvish Rejuvenator instead. That Elvish Rejuvenator is good if we're trying to ramp up to a certain mana count. Like if we're aiming for say 5. Yeah, if you have a Doom Whisper, that's a good reason to aim for 5. Otherwise, District Guide, this one helps for aiming for color fixing. So if we're aiming for say Muldrota, that would be a good example. Erstwhile Trooper, not quite. Find and Finality, this one's gonna go into sideboard. Actually, I could put one in the main and put another in the side for now. Returning 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand is one of the ways to get some value back, and it's just 2 mana. That one works pretty well. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Generous Stray, it does draw a card, so that is one engine we can use. If we go with a bunch of really cheap creatures, we can stock up on Charnel Trolls. So I'm gonna leave the Generous Stray in here for now. See something we can figure out. Golgari Find Broker. This is something we could use also. Basically, it's another way to buy back some of the cards we have. It's not the strongest of this uncommon cycle, but I'll leave it in here for consideration. Raiders. We might have an undergrowth team, but I don't find these to be that strong. This is one reason we might aim for 1, 2, or 3 mana. Gruesome Menagerie. This one allows us to return up to 3 creatures from our graveyard to the battlefield, provided one of them is 1 CMC, 1 is 2, and 1 is 3. So another thing to consider for our build, we may have to build around that magic number if we go for that. So speaking of 1-drops, Hired Poisoner, decent and annoying. It's not a Narnam Renegade. We kind of missed that, but this one's fine. Crawl Harpooner, I'll put it in the sideboard for now, but this is also a quality 2-drop. Izoni Thousand Eye, this is something we could work towards. If we manage to dump a lot of creatures, we can get a lot of value out of him. So let's see. Mausoleum Secrets, that allows us to dig up, but not exactly what we're looking for. Crawl Swarm, something we can keep buying back, but we kind of want to have creatures hit the graveyard on its own. We need to also look for cards that make both players some discards. Speaking of getting benefits out of that, let's put Midnight Reaper in for consideration. Might of the Masses, does this give Trample? No, so we'll skip that. Any pump effects we're looking for, we're gonna want to have Trample on it as a consideration. Moodmark Painter, Necrotic Wound, this could be our kill spell, but I think I'd rather run Assassin's Trophy and Vraska's Contempt. Never happened. Nullhide Ferox, this one is annoyingly powerful, but it does have a downside. So it is something annoying to keep buying back, but if we're not able to keep buying it back, it's not exactly dumb. It's not exactly easy to kill either. And if your opponent is playing, say, Control, this could be really annoying. In fact, I might put this in the sideboard. It's between this and Carnage Tyrant, whichever one's more available, I guess. I might actually prefer Carnage Tyrant in this end. Pitiless Gorgon, this one is decent removal, a 3. Pilfering Imp is another option at 1. It's a 1/1 flyer, and actually this is good for the control matchup. You get to strip your opponent of cards, so I'm gonna actually put that in the sideboard. Pelt Collector, this one can get out of hand with the right power and toughness combination. So we're basically looking for 2s, 3s, and 4s. So based on that, we have our 4 here. We got our 3 here. 3 and 4. Yeah. If you can get Pelt Collectors, this one's quite decent. This one can get out of hand really quickly. So I'm gonna leave that here for consideration. I have a lot of stuff here for consideration right now. Rhizome Lurcher, not quite. We're not exactly playing too much with undergrowth. We'll just keep the quality undergrowth for now. So status and statue. This is also additional removal. I put in the sideboard. Though I'm basically tuning this deck mostly against fighting creatures and planeswalkers, so Vraska's Contempt is more likely to be main. But if you start encountering a ton of artifacts and enchantments, yeah, this one gets sided in. It's this one will get sided in, so I'm gonna just bump this up to 11. Sprouting Renewal. Because we're aiming for creature cards, we're gonna avoid instants and sorceries, even if they generate creatures. Severed Strands. This one kind of acts as our removal, but yeah, we still are lacking in the value town department. Burglar Rat, Generous Stray, those affect cards, but I wouldn't exactly call those real. We want really big value. In fact, I might have just missed one. Where's Plague Crafter? This is a good tree drop. It gets creatures into the graveyard, both on our opponent's side and our side, so this is definitely something I'd have at least 3 of. Then Undercity Uprising. It's a big finisher. It also acts as a fight spell. Underrealm Lich. This one also fuels the graveyard. So if you can, sure. If you can't, don't sweat it out. There are other options. Okay, Vraska Stonegar. No, that just well. If you can get Vraska Golgari Queen, this is probably a good place to test it out. So Vicious Rumors deals 1 damage to each opponent. Each opponent discards the card and puts the top card of. This affects our opponent. It's not exact, and in the right matchup, this one can be backbreaking. It in the wrong matchup, let's say if you find an opponent that has Nullhide Ferox, ooh, that's gonna be a problem. I will consider this, but maybe not for this deck. We're kind of more like a 2-3. We do want to have a few 1-drops, but even then, 5 mana just to get a 2-drop and a 3-drop, that's quite generous in itself. Oh yeah, speaking of color fixing, if ever you decide to go blue and go the Muldrota route, Urban Utopia is a decent addition. That's something to consider as well. So now let's get rid of the Guilds of Ravnica requirement. But let's set it to standard. Now this is going to be annoying because I'm going to... Oh wait. Yeah, by setting this one here, it sets this one correctly, more or less. So let's look for... I would like an Affectionate Indrik. It's quite big. The only problem is the mana cost is quite high. I'm trying to keep it down. If you saw the previous matchups I had, I didn't have that many problems with Torgar Famine Incarnate because I could cheapen the cost a bit. But here in this deck, I won't get that benefit, so that's something I have to be careful of. Verdant Force definitely harder to get benefit out of. So right now I'm just looking through the black and green cards. So I'm really... Let's set the converted man. No, I wish I could set this as something or less. That would make it easier on me. As Atsukan Archer, this one's it. I guess it's a decent sideboard card, something we can buy back. But we do have Crawl Harpooner as our anti-flying tech. In fact, just as a fight spell in itself, this one deals 3 damage to a flyer, assuming no creatures in your graveyard. If you do have creature cards, it scales up. So Baylot Gorger. Let's for some. We kind of want to draw into a bunch of cards. Beast Whisperer, yeah, that's decent. Blood Operative enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard when you yeah, we're not a surveil deck. So I'm looking for So basically, we're looking for stuff that interacts with the graveyard. Bone Dragon is a decent finisher. Since we're gonna get a ton of cards in the graveyard, in fact, this might be a better fit. Well, I'm already putting a ton of mythics here, so let's try not to go too wild on that. Anyway, once I'm done putting the stuff out, I'm gonna figure out which ones are worth removing. I'll keep the mythics as one-offs here because I know they're painful to get. I did say that I do prefer Carnage Tyrant over Nullhide Ferox. So let's just leave that as one. Additional removal. Cast Down's a decent one. It's also cheap too, but I did say I was gonna save that space for Vraska's Contempt. So Chamber's Torment, Champion of Dust, Child of Night. Okay, so going Costly Plunder. This was what I was using in this one. I used it a bit to great effect. But if we're going to go with the journey, actually it's kind of the journey and defined route. Maybe also Golgari Findbroker. Yeah, so I guess this one has to be at least 2 copies. Midnight Reaper, I'll leave it as probably 2 copies as well because that is our card draw. You're gonna have to actually make some cuts at this point. We're not gonna be able to fit every possible great card. Deathbloom Talid. This one's a good one to get back, but would I prefer this over Generous Stray? Actually, like Plague Crafter over those options. Deathbloom Talid, it's not a bad option in itself. Death Baron, we don't exactly have a zombie team. Actually, if I was going for the zombie team, Doom Dissenter, Death Baron, Graveyard Marshal, we could get a minor team with that one. That is an option. We're not exactly going all in. Demon of Catastrophes, that is a sacrifice option. Desperate Castaways. Not too fond of the pirates at this point. Actually, this might be a... Let's start with the Doom Descent. Well, because one, we have Doom Dissenters in the deck already, so I'm gonna bump that up, drop down the Burglar Rat. I'm gonna put the Death Baron because I know we get at least 1, maybe 2 from the Mono Black deck. So we are kind of playing with a minor zombie team. Diagraph Ghoul is a decent one-off to get back. We do have Stitcher Supplier already as it is, so that combos. Midnight Reaper is also zombie, so that's a benefit. Pelt Collector... I think I might prefer the Pelt Collector over the Stitcher Supplier. Well, of course I'd prefer it. That's a rare. But I might actually even just drop both. Well, also a zombie, so that fits. Not quite a zombie. Well, it's a skeleton, so it counts. Charnel Troll is looking to be the odd creature out. I might actually just drop it. Let's keep it cheaper for now. I would probably also put a copy or 2 of Ravenous Chupacabra, maybe even some maybe in the sideboard. Sure, it's a bit odd in the casting cost because it's 4. Oh yeah, well, Plaguecrafter's a human shaman. That doesn't quite count. So we're basically doing a death zombies team in that combo. So not quite streamlined, but we'll make the best out of it. Let's see what else we have. Graveyard Marshal, where art thou? I guess Girapur. No, not Girapur Guide. The other guide. The other guide would be a good fit, especially if you're doing the 3-color plan. So still. Yeah, let's put the Graveyard Marshal in. So I did. So right now we're using Golgari Findbroker, but another option if we go for the Zombies plan is Gravedigger. This one's actually more freely available. It's also easier on the casting cost. The only catch is we don't get to get certain cards back. If we need a Journey to Eternity, we're not gonna get that back. If we need a particular land, we're not gonna get that back. Otherwise, actually, that might be fine. We're giving up on a little power. We're giving up on some power. We're giving up on a decent amount of power and toughness. But we still keep the mono black synergy as a result. So that's a possible trade-off. I'm gonna leave this in the sideboard for now. Graveyard Marshal should definitely be at least 2 copies. Yuck, I'm putting way too many rares here. If you think there are too many rares, I might just drop the zombie team. Stick with decent creatures that have good enter the battlefield effects. So we're still going through them. It's a bit of a long list. We're currently at 8 right now. Hired Blade, Hired Poisoner. Come on, somebody hire me. Infectious Horse, not. Also note that a lot of our removal is black, but we can trade on the ground, so that is an option. Jade Baron, Jade Guardian. Yeah, Iseret fits the team also. In fact, it's a good way to churn through the deck also. I'm just putting in way too many. There are too many rares at this point. That's my only concern. Midnight Reapers are rare. Pelt Collectors are rare. Plague Crafters are rare. It's not just the number of rares. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna put Vraska's Contempt too. That's also a rare. Yuck. Josu Vest is good fit. It's a good late game fit, but it's also a rare. You know what? I'm gonna ditch. I'll finish the zombie route. That's one deck, but I'm gonna make another version, strip the zombie route, because yeah, that's way too many rares. That said, if we're gonna do it, we might as well overdo it. I now have a reason not to hit the zombie team though. So okay, let's fill this out a bit first. Graveyard Marshal, Josu Vest, Enderon Lich, Plague Crafters, okay. Death Baron, Doom Dissenter. Let's bump it up to 4. At least that's a common. Grave Digger's an uncommon. Gruesome. Let's see, what's a good fit here? Probably another Death Baron, because that's what's fitting in right now. Then finally, Silent Gravestone to finish it off. Oh wait. Let's drop that one Death Baron. And now we'll drop one more card. I might actually just drop both Pelt Collectors. That one's expensive, but for no real reason, in my opinion. Graveyard Marshal. Probably just bump up the Plague Crafters, because that is where we're getting our synergy. So, okay, Vraska's Contempt, Find Finality. Gonna drop the Find Brokers. Gonna bump up the Crawl Harpooner, because that is a 3/2 for 2 mana. Then Silent Gravestone. Okay, let's kill the filters. Yuck. Sideboard is also another rare. And let me guess. Oh yeah, Sorcerer's Spyglass, another option, also a rare. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at this. Not too proud of it because it's just a ton of rares. So Saproling Swarm version 2. Death plus zombie. So we're gonna do a quick analysis. If this turns out to be even more expensive than the yeah. For reference, the swarm deck, just the swarm deck is already expensive by it's kind of expensive at the 180 range. This one's expensive, even more expensive, and it's more expensive in the sense that here, take a look at all these shiny gold symbols. Yuck. I will save this list. You will I'll put it in the description, but it's not a list I'm exactly proud of. In fact, this is the exact opposite. But hey, if you got a ton of money, and even with a ton of wild cards to burn, I think if you're gonna go this way, I would probably cut out a lot of the intermediate cards just to get the right system down. So I will save this though. After I fix the lands, definitely 5 forests, 9 swamps. Oh no, 8, 9, 10, 11. Because it's now way too black heavy. Yep, this is a better fit. Yeah, the black mana symbols are scaring me. I'll save this deck. Then let's see if we can make a cheaper version. So Saproling, not Swarm. There's Zombie. It's kind of tribal, so I'll include that. And there's also a bit of a sacrifice team. So I'll save this as an option, but I'll be honest, this is not the one I'm proud of. Now let's drop the zombie synergy and let's see if we can work from there. So let's edit the deck. I think it allows to save us as a new deck. So let's get rid of these guys. So Doom Dissenter. Because we're now churning the graveyard, we're not exactly sacrificing stuff. So that goes. This goes. We'll keep the single copy of Gruesome Menagerie. I have a way to double now. Josu goes. Midnight Reaper. I'm willing to keep 2 copies because that's a good way to draw cards. Under Realm Lich also so we have 12 slots to fill up. So based on that theory, let's put in more value cards. So Kitesail Freebooter. It's an uncommon, and you do want this as a form of control. In fact, this one kind of combos well with Pilfering Imp. So it's gonna be this will hurt an opposing control deck as long as they're not running Nullhide Ferox. So for our Ravenous Chupacabra is a fit, I guess. So yeah, let's put Ravenous in. Probably 2 copies, because I know you get these 2 off from the blue-black deck. Let's make a tree. We need some additional. What's a very good tree drop? You know what? Let's not overcomplicate things. Now, if I put Deathbloom Talid, it again swings us more towards black. Actually, you know what? We can still keep the Saproling team, but we're not going to overdo it in that sense. So we'll just put. Let's put in the Yavimaya Sap Herds. 3 copies, and we'll put in the Deathbloom Talid as well. Probably 2 or 3, probably just 2 copies. Now, one thing I definitely want to add here is the Eldest Reborn. At 4, it's a good way. It's both a reanimation and a removal suite, so I'll definitely keep that. In fact, with this one, so the Find Broker actually now has a home in this deck, so what we can do is we'll keep the Eldest Reborns here. Or I can actually put the Eldest Reborns down here. Oh yeah, we can... Okay, Whisper's not the best creature for this job, but he does something. Oh, you know what? All this talk, I forgot the most important creature. Four copies. This is the reason why we're doing all this hard work. So this one's at 4, so we have to cut down our 4 drops. I probably cut the Deathbloom Talids. Definitely cut Whisper at this point. And probably keep the Sapper because that's 2 bodies. Plague Crafter is decent. Midnight Reaper, I could cut down. I might actually just cut down the Gruesome Menagerie because we're not too reliant on using that to buy everything back. In fact, I'm gonna go back and edit the previous deck also because I forgot all about this. This is why we were doing all this. Man, I must be really tired. So this one is Saproling Swarm with sort of a buyback. Death and Return. So we're basically trying to buy back as many decent creatures as we can. And let's analyze this one. In fact, I'm gonna just ditch the zombie plan altogether. Still quite expensive. We still have a good number of rares. I kind of blame it on Assassin's Trophy, an our mana base, Overgrown Tomb, Woodland Cemetery, Juraska's Contempt. You kind of need this as the anti-planeswalker plan, but there are other options for this one. If you can't afford Vraska's Contempt, Murder is straight up okay. In fact, it's cheaper, so that there is a definite reason for that. Especially if you're running Eldest Reborn, that is our other out, I suppose. So Plague Crafters, so Midnight Reaper. This was supposed to be our card draw. This one could also change up a bit. We could actually drop this in favor of even actually the cheaper guys. They have Amaya Sapherd. Doom Dissenters would be a good option as well. So let's check the mana base. Yeah, the mana base fits here better. So I'm basically giving you guys some ideas. So I'm gonna save this deck. Then I'm gonna go back to the zombie. Not much zombie this time, so I'm gonna cut out that one. It's not much tribal either. There's sacrifice. There's a little Saprolings. There's some okay. It's called Reanimation. That's the. So this is more Reanimator than the other deck, but should function just fine. So let's take a look at. Let's see if we still have the zombie deck. Nope, we overwrote that one. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. So this one has less. Yeah, because that one I'm gonna have to figure out where to fit 4 poison tip archers. There's a problem in the sense where you could overload your deck with so many teams. Let's just keep things simple. So there you go. That would be my build for it. And that's it for this episode, the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notifications. We'll be having our draft special up during the weekend. And after this, I'm going to continue recording the adventure for now. I'm going to figure out if I can do something else in the right after that. So at least it gives me about 7 weeks to think of something for me to relax around a bit. I don't need to feel stressed out over everything. Anyway, so that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you guys again next time.